Alright, kids, this probably be a multi-game theory video. Yay! Nobody cares, okay? So don't even act like you give a fuck. It's just something to listen to, right? Because it's fucking slow on YouTube. I had a Pontifex video and I said, fucking, I'm going to scrap it. Then I did another one and said, fucking, I scrapped it. It's just, ain't nothing interesting going on. But, anyway, this has something to do with it, but let's see if you're smart enough to connect the dots on that one. All right. This is actually for Pontifex. Pontifex will like this one. And you can thank Corey C. for it. All right. We're going to talk, and this is a game theory I did a while back, and it's quite fascinating. When you begin to extrapolate possible information and variables on a branch path, considering an individual and how they go in a linear line, though it is the racetrack they run. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's go with this. We're going to call this booking game theory. That's right, booking or book game theory. All right. Now, the reason I did this one is because without access to specific books, okay, y'all, the ones y'all don't give a fuck about that you think is junk, quote, junk, unquote, you would just throw it in a fucking trash can but go read Ayn Rand. Now, believe it or not, Ayn Rand has something to do with this. I'm going to show you something. Let's take, for example, and if you read Timaeus and Critias with Socrates, Plato, the Republic, they go into a section of it and they actually, in a way, say that with the registers in Egypt. And I had a conversation one time with it was a one-sided conversation, but I had a one-sided conversation with a man that's very intelligent. And he said his end of it, and I said, well, wait a minute. I don't need those books. I don't. If I can nail down the societal and socially cohesive behavior modification game theory models that they were running inside their noodles at that time, I can therefore extrapolate the possible information that would be inside that book. And you'll say, what the fuck? And I'll tell you, haha, yeah, what the fuck, son? Yeah, what the fuck? So, book game theory is fun. It's really simple. You're extrapolating branch paths of what a book will say without reading the book. Okay? It's not complicated. It leads you to the extrapolation, or it leads you to the realization that you can extrapolate what all citizen units would have written for their time because of the socially cohesive models they would have been using in their noodles. Okay? Okay. Such as you would say, well, I need to know what the Soviet Union's doing. And I will say, okay, give me somebody you think is a Soviet agent. Have they written a book? Yes. Okay, therefore we're going to know what the Soviet Union is going to do. See, it's that simple and that easy. And actually, it's easier than that, but I'm not going to go into that. You're supposed to be smart enough to figure out how easy this actually is. Okay? All right, because anyway, I told you, the only interaction you're ever going to have is shyster interaction. One of the two parties is going to try to shyster the other. And it's always belief and faith. Okay, so anyway, let's move along here. Let's take Ayn Rand, for example. I've never read her books. Okay, I don't need to. Now, this is for Pontifex. He'll like this. We know all these things are fiction. Okay, we know what game theory models are currently being run within the last, let's say, 4 generations here. What exactly would Ayn Rand have written in her book? Okay. With us knowing what game theory models she would have had in her head. Her socially cohesive models. The racetracks in her noodle. She will not step out of those. Okay? That's right. She's in a round room and you tell her to go shit in a corner. What happens? She don't, but she keeps trying. Okay? Alright, so relax here. it is irrelevant what she's actually going to say, because the point is you only want to extrapolate where she was going to go. So you have to look that she was a Soviet, etc., or Russian, whatever the fuck's all the same to me. I know, don't bitch at me, Master P, you know what I was saying. The point is that socially cohesive set of, and it's more than one, you got to remember that it's more than one, but the point is you can extrapolate what she's going to say. So when people say, have you read Ayn Rand, to somebody like me, I say, well, of course not, because I know what she was going to say. She was going to say, believe in me, because I said so, that's why. So keep your warlord status, Corey. I'll take emperor of game theory. Though I ain't. Anyway, the point is, with that said, Corey, or any of you, Pontifex too, you've done the reading of the books, okay? Now, that's propaganda, as you know. It's irrelevant other than through the fictional perception of they are on, quote, my side, unquote, or they are not. I either agree or I disagree. In reality, it is, what are they actually going to regurgitate that they call new? Now, I saw a kid talk about the Venus Project, but he was doing real basic game theory, but it's still fine. The point, he complicated it too much. The point being is they're trying to sell something. What is it? So what is Ayn Rand trying to sell? Well, she's not me, so it is irrelevant what she's trying to sell, because it's not to my benefit. It's only to hers that I buy what she's selling. Okay, now, secondly, everybody's got to step the fuck back and say, none of this is mine, it's all fictional. Okay, if it's all fictional and it's all bullshit, and let's assume that Ayn Rand was going in her one direction and all this verboseness over this bullshit, you know what I mean? Verbose. I'm not saying reading's bad. I'm saying if you step away from it, you can use book and game theory to save time, more efficiencies. I'm not saying that in the details of her book wasn't an interesting concept, but the deal is it will be a regurgitated concept. Okay? She is the end product of everything she had ever read and everybody she had talked to. She did not have an original thought. Okay? Oh, let me put it like this. When she was older, she probably did. Once she realized, if she ever realized. See, there's the game, kids. If she ever realized. Look at Hollywood. You'll know, and I have to... I'm going to try this again in this video and just hammer it all together. These people don't have personalities, gentlemen. They are made up of all the fictions that were given to them. Okay? And because of that, they act like children and they fight over such simple fucking things that do not exist to begin with, because somebody showed up and told them that they must be pissed off because they don't have that fiction. Or somebody took the fiction away. The fiction of freedom. You're free now. Nobody took it from you. Is anybody taking it from you? Devil government. Fiction. All the fictions, remember that. So if you can extrapolate a book, you can extrapolate the person that wrote it. Now, I wasn't intending on going into that, okay? That'll be up to you. Some people, it's not psychology. Psychology is hackery. Okay, you're way past that into the socially cohesive models were designed shit before Mr. Jesus was cruising around. Okay, all right. So let's look at the finish to the booking game theory. And if you don't have access, therefore, you can extrapolate depending on what you want to do. You know, it's, do I want to actually know what's in there? Well, I'm already extrapolated what it'll say, so it's not actually going to be to my benefit. What it'll be if I read it is, the only thing I should get out of it is a defense to that specific game theory of that individual. Okay? Okay. All right. That's why I like Pontifex and all the rest of you. You're not dumb. I don't know why you're playing possum. I don't. It's like Sarandy Tooth. Don't know why he's playing possum. He fucks with y'all. I hate to tell you. He says he's telling you the truth. He's fucking with you. because you bore him. But that doesn't mean you're dumb. It means you're not taking the challenge. And Sarandy Two's looking for some challenges. Anyway, so you can extrapolate the book, then extrapolate the person, the individual. And you'll find that, since they're all corporate models and they all follow a very standard set, with the exception of generational gaps, okay? Somebody in the Civil War running those gaming theories will be different than today's, but not that different because they're all the same basic game theory models, the shyster models, okay, that were given to them. I shyster you, therefore you shyster. Because you haven't created any models, any game theory models, or any models that you would use for yourself. You've only taken what everybody else has given to you. And in part, you have to remember that you've never actually grown up. Therefore, any extrapolation you do will be in a very, very round room with you being told to shit in the corner. You're not going to be able to extrapolate further than the wall. Okay? All right. I'm not, by any means, I'm not perfect at any of this. What the fuck? I'm just a dumbass southerner, right? I'm a fucking retard. Because I'm a dumbass southerner. Alright, so, anyway, once you realize those things, and by that I mean not listening to me, I mean sitting down and once you actually realize that, you'll see that is where David Icke and the others come into play. See, you only thought they served a very base purpose. Incorrect. Jones and all them serve more than one purpose. One of the other purposes they serve is to capture people that come to the realization. Now remember, they capture zombies and parrots. Oh my God, everybody's a frequency. We're all going. Okay, ignore that. That's for the zombies. They're also there to capture the stragglers that really step outside, who are damn near out off the pyramid's lawn. I'm running for it, right? That's the other part. That's where your symbolism comes in. That's where your quote occult unquote comes in to suck you back in, because you're standing out there going, I'm almost free, I think I've got it figured out this time. And what you do is staticize it in your brain. You standardize it instead of going, I'm not done yet, I can't possibly be done yet, I can't make a tree. No, you stop and you go, that's the end of the man-made model. But you don't even see it as any split, man-made, natural, any of those things. You don't make those distinctions. Or as Corey C. said, you don't make the discernment in your coconut, your big old fucking coconut. You don't, dude. Okay, so, since you don't make those distinguishments, you have the inevitable trap that you set yourself. That's right, the Admiral Akbar. I trapped myself. I fucking trapped myself. That's right, you trapped yourself. Instead of keeping going with the thinking, what you did was went, rip, this has got to be the end of it. This, because I said so, that's why. Alright, so. And yes, this is far removed from the actual booking game theory, but it's not, because once you think you're out, you'll hit a book like Ayn Rand and get caught back in. See, all this ties together. There's way more than one thing going on at once. Remember, part of it is natural, part of it is man-made. So the natural game theory models are, I have some serious difficulties, and I didn't want to get into it, and I said it on one of them, the Manchurian game theory deal. I didn't want to get into that one because you could actually, I would actually have to start talking about Whitaker, Bob Whitaker, that's who it was, who did the Mantrit Parrot game theory, the meme, okay? You know, anti-racism is anti-white. It's a really bottom basement, really simple, man-made game theory, but once you start to look into it and pull it apart, you'll start to see the natural game theories, and the natural game theories now, you got to be careful. That'll fuck with your noodle for a while. Anyway, the point of booking game theory is it's getting to the end of the book before you ever open it up. There's a reason that I wanted to, that once I did the booking game theory, that I stopped and I said, this is the technology game theory. The design game theory. Advancement game theory. God damn it. Weaponization game theory. instead of integral steps. Okay? You have to stop this bullshit with lateral advancement that doesn't actually do anything. Because people are standardizing instead of going forward. All right? Instead of going forward. Now, I'm not talking about government or social cohesion or any of that. I'm talking about actual technological advancement by the individual, not by corporations that fucking don't do nothing, though some of it's very interesting. Okay, I didn't say there's anything wrong with social advancement or any of that. I'm saying I'm doing the technological advancement. Okay, I don't want to fuck with the social advancement stuff because, man, that gets into eugenics and shit. And dude, I just ain't up for it. I ain't got enough bullets, nor do I really fucking care that much about it. Some kook whack job motherfucker will do the eugenics, I guarantee you. And they're running the fucking same game theory as every other kook on the fucking planet. So anyway, the technological advancement game theory, now that's the same thing as the booking game theory, and the reason you apply it is like this. For example, you take a basic design of your invention, and instead of going small, integral, lateral steps, you just say, fuck this. You extrapolate that one model as much as possible in your brain pan, in your fucking coconut. And you say, I'm going to the very end before I have to go through all the rest. Correct. I know some of you people are going to have some problems with that one. I'm sorry. I can't do nothing about that. Okay? Once you do the booking game theory, you'll be able to start extrapolating stuff like the technological design and advancement game theory. Alright? And it's not just the game theory. It coming out of your fucking mouth don't do any good. It's like I told Lambdog and them, and I don't mean Lambdog's bad. What I'm saying is, you have to build these fucking models, and instead of being a Manchurian candidate for McDonald's that's running the game theory or Walmart, you have to institute your own game theory and establish that in your fucking big old fat coconut. Alright? You have to decide to do that instead of reacting automatically, okay, with third grade game theory, the natural stuff, though some of that's fairly advanced. You have to stop that and stop the man-made stuff that was given to you. I told you, nullity game theory. You have to start from a nullity, motherfucker. And it's that you don't know anything. So once you get past that point, as Lambdog said, now this would be in combat techniques and defensive situations, or let's say it as law of contract, contractual situations where you're near other parties all around you, and you don't. Normally, you look at it. You look at these other parties, and you don't do any target assessment, and you don't do anything except I have to go around him. He's in my way. He was mean. His kid is crying. You do understand that you're a meat fucking robot at that point. You don't realize how little you actually think during the day. Fascinating, isn't it? Pontifex knows. Psychodrilla knows. These fucking people do know. Alright? And this shit here with CR40 and them, they're the next generation of the fucking actual game theory that'll begin to advance certain sectors, man, and nobody wants to fucking listen, but that's okay, man. Just y'all go do it your own goddamn self and don't wait on these other people. Don't wait. Don't get stuck at any specific level arguing fictions. Move on. Don't waste your fucking time. You got to move on. That don't mean you don't talk to them because you know them, like Corey C. and Pot. That don't mean y'all don't talk to each other. It means you talk to each other, but if Corey don't want to look at that, then Pontifex say, you keep that. I'm moving on, dude. I'm moving on, son. I'm going to design transportation sector to cut out the middleman and all this shit, and I'm going to get it, from field to fucking table for $1 a fucking bushel with non-GMO corn, but yet raise the output by threefold. Come on, Pontifex, there's some serious shit in there, and you can do that with some extrapolation of some game theory. But anyway, on the Lambdog one, it was, how do you interact with other meat robots? Well, you do that automatically now. All right? That's the third grade natural game theory. Okay? That is where fear and etc. comes in. That is just the natural response. Fight or flight is third grade. That's third grade stuff. That's natural game theory. That's shit that was given to you whenever, wherever. It's natural. Okay, the man-made stuff is specific forms of combat and everything else. Well, stop that. Stop that. Because the only thing you've ever learned is from somebody else that stared at a fucking TV or had somebody else that was running game theory in their heads teach them to teach you. At what time would you keep using a failed game theory? I don't mean combat interactions or hand-to-hand or anything is failed. What I'm saying is you can advance that. And in fact, advancement in these cases means reducing the models. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. No profit. You know what I mean? Troll profit. You know what I mean? You smash those fucking models down, and then what do you got? Well, you've got a simpler game theory that you can institute in your own fucking head. Okay? And that model becomes automatic. All right. I'd actually done that a few years ago because it'd be reverse Manchurian candidacy because you're creating your own models. Okay? And you're going, in this situation, and you would set that to run in your mind. Okay? Don't laugh. Don't laugh. The TV does it to you. Your dog does it to you because you set certain models in your own head, and they're not efficient. They're just easy for you to understand. There's a difference. All the shit that we're doing out here is inefficient. Inefficient. Otherwise, it'd be massively efficient. Use your noodle. Use your fucking noodle. That includes communications, everything else. All right. But I say advancement, but not at the expense of sanity. All right. There you go. Anyway, and I didn't say anything about freedom. You'll be an individual. You won't. Just leave that alone. You're already done with that. People get into that deal where they want to combat over the freedom stuff. Right? Well, I pick targets. I do target assessment as I consider it needed. You know, enemy combatants to my locality. That's what is important about that. And therefore, I institute a specific model with that specific individual. Okay? And then we begin. Okay? Trollolo combat, dude. Trollolo co-duello. Trollolo wager of law. Right? Da-da-da. Bang. Okay, now, that way, on the technological game theory advancements or game theory technological booking advancements, or however you want to say it, whatever, it can induce, and I would like to see some work with Amir Murad on instituting those specific types of models. Believe it or not, and you'll laugh, don't laugh. Don't laugh. The Eastern stuff has very interesting game theory model inducement influence. It does. Otherwise, it'd be long gone. Okay. I didn't say it was perfect. What I said was it is one of the steps. Okay, so anyway, let's move along here. And I know that's what it's going to be. This is part of what it's going to be. When you do booking game theory and you do the tech game theory where you're looking at the end of the road instead of all the stairs in between, it can induce exponential model variations forward to the end model that might be achieved before you get there. That way you can decrease the time spent going through variations and models of one specific design. Okay? Okay. I'm just saying, it's to me it's a brevity and a precision of design efficiency. That sounds retarded. I don't care. Moving on. Next one and last one. I'm sorry it's going this long. What we're going to talk about now is media game theory. All right. This is not about encryption, but it is. I'm going to show you something. I once read it was just like 1 or 2 sentences in a science fiction book, and I thought that was fascinating about how people will they'll set carrier propaganda, code propaganda, game theory models inside the news, and the news people don't realize it. The censors don't know it, and it passes right by them. It looks like a duck, walks like a duck, shits like a duck, but it ain't a duck. Ha! Welcome to game theory, motherfucker. Yeah, that's right. I can put a picture of a gun in front of your face and say that's a gun, and you'll say it's a gun. That's how easy this is. You didn't tell me. No, it's just a facsimile of something. It's fictional. Doesn't exist. Well, all right. So anyway, This is a media information propagation of panopticonic game theory using established socially cohesive game theories as passers. Informational pass. Because of the blank spots in the socially cohesive models. Now, this is a revised and modified telephone game theory. Now, this directly is related to Corey C. and also Mr. Thomas Paine for his work. Oh, and Pontifex for both of their work on one Mr. Bacon. Bacon, yes, him, yeah. Sir Roger Bacon. You was like, yeah, it's no Roger. I know it ain't Roger. I was fucking with you. Anyway, this begins with the knowledge of the opponent tapping lines of communication, whether the opponent is on your side or not. You have to remember, let's take Alex Jones. I told you, the son of a bitch is like an old sick buzzard. He'll eat anything. Therefore, they gotta laugh when they dump obviously false stories on him and he reports them as if they're real. There are times I know he's smart enough to catch it, and then there's times I know he ain't smart enough to catch it. So, what we're looking at is, what is that interaction? It's because, let's take Alex Jones, okay? He has walls in his mind. Game theory, socially cohesive behavior modification models currently running in his mind. Anything that is outside of that will be automatically ignored if it is quiet and not combative. Now we're talking about the art of words. Okay, the law of language, a higher level of law of language. Instead of encrypting the language, you use plain language. Lawyers do this. Don't say nothing, nobody. Don't. Just listen to me. Just listen. Adernaticus Privaticus. He will know. They do this. Now, it is an old game, but in this case it's not as complicated. You can pass propaganda pieces of information from one party to another publicly without anybody knowing it because they cannot see it. They do not comprehend what it is. Now, Mr. Alan Watt touches that on the side with symbology. Okay? That is part of it, but it's much more advanced than that now. Okay? Because we're not in the old models, we're in the new models. And generally I usually deal with the old models, but we're talking about newer models now. Alright, so if I was a guy creating something and I needed a specific sentence to go out on TV to go to somebody in Russia or Ireland or wherever, okay, right, and just so they could hear it, just so they could hear that one sentence, okay, and do whatever the sentence was, the purpose of it. Again, Bob Whitaker with the Mantra Parrot theme. There you go, dude. That's it was designed for a specific thing. Really weak, but it was designed to do it. And it did it. All right. So, how would Bob send that? We'll use Bob. How would Bob send that through the media without the media ever catching it and saying, pass it? It's not racist. You're not hiding the definitions of the words or anything. What you're doing is saying, I know that this specific dude will have this information come across his desk. If I set the tone just correctly, and I'll set the spacings of the words, the spacings of the lines, the paragraphs, the indentations correctly, he flat won't see that sumbitch. That sentence or this paragraph will pass right in front of his face, and he'll never see it and never censor it. The power of media. Now, what happens when your media already does that itself to begin with, and they know it? Clusterfuck! But I thought y'all would enjoy that. It's been a boring week. It has been. But I was going to throw in some of my fuck around brain quotes. My brain. So let's talk about Stephen Mollyhucks. I got to throw this in here. He uses troll pseudo-philosophy. Actually wrote this up just to fuck with people. Troll pseudo-philosophy in order to get a time-traveling shyster machine built. give it to himself, go back in time, rewrite history, go forward again, meet himself, talk in circles for 4 hours, convince you to build a time machine to go forward in the future, to give the time machine to him, to let him go back in time to rewrite history, because the problem with this pseudo-philosophy is that it never does anything and it never existed in the real world. But he's got to convince you. I thought it was funny. Mad Max Kaiser on the Devil Banks. If a man doesn't go to a whorehouse, will he catch a clap from a hooker inside? Gerald Celente. If you could predict one thing right, why can't you predict when you're wrong? Alex Jones. Can it be a psychological operation if nobody watches? I got to throw this one. I'm just fucking with Corey C on this one. Corey C TV. If nobody has food to eat, who will make your cheap shit paper and drive it to the store? I assume free market corn cobs is on your to-do list. Sir Randy Tooth. If I don't know the sound of one hand clapping, then what is the sound of one cello not playing? SGT bullshittery. If nothing but I have value, and your value is therefore valueless because you produce nothing, and therefore the government is evil because of arbitrary valuation, thereby it must mean that gold and silver are evil because you are arbitrarily valuing it, unless you're hawking it for a fast paper dollar, that is. Let's see if anybody catches that. Adam Kokesh. If the government evilly runs the free market that never existed while being run by private corporations since inception, how can I be free if you demand by regulatory force that the devil government privatize all things for a handful of private corporations that already run it? Chuckles the Vedich. If there is no freedom of speech in Britain, why have you not been banned from YouTube? Now that's a cheater. I actually used that one on Chuckles, and he responded to it. That's a cheater. But I'll give him this one. Secondly, if you holler through a megaphone at a passerby to teach them how wrong they are, how right can you be if you do the same thing to your dog at home or your old lady? And that's supposed to mean you talk way too fucking much and you listen very little. All right. Mark Dice. If everything is a conspiracy which is given away freely to infect people, what exactly are you doing that is different? The Amazing Atheist. I just put in this section. Tree game theory. That's all I put in there. True Puka does not get an entry here for a reason. He's that good. Skeptical Heretic. If books are important, while quoting and fighting over the words of another man which are made of fiction only, then how can you logically allow God to be denied the fictions of existence when you fight only over the fictions of another man? Integral math does not get an entry. Robert Menard and Dean Clifford get an entry. Prove it and prove it, both of you. Psychodrilla. If we've went this far, how much is left to go? Because none of this is uphill or downhill. In fact, it is nothing at all. Especially important. While being very important. It's neither important nor not important. It just is. Sir Raw Doglet, why do you give shit advice on silver when all you ever wanted was to sell stock in yourself? In that case, had you asked me, I would have purchased a share, because the rest of your work certainly isn't shit at all. By that I mean bad. Okay, Pound Effects. If we know it is fiction and fantasy tied desperately together to resemble a real rock or real tree, when exactly do we stop and advance that which is real instead of that which is not? The Pope. For 2,000 years you have run the Mad Maid game show. Roman Farmville, as they say. Thanks for the run. Be seeing you. Because I ain't in it no more. The President. El Presidente. I got one line, one sentence in the last State of the Union. I did. I laughed, then I got really serious. Now, are we going to be serious yet? The Congress, I've seen hens in the chicken house get more done. And the less you do, the more it forces decent folk to sweep the shit off the top of the swimming pool. Not the dumbest thing you ever did. Just wait. You're rolling the dice and hoping they don't spin on you. Amir Murad. When do fictions hold more weight by the ton than the real world? And me, if I can design interesting, marginally advanced game theories, reduce, therefore advance some types of tech, and donate to the public debt, when will I figure out that I already own all this, and you always have to work on your own house? Subbing the workout just ain't that damn smart. Now, for all of you, talking is not doing, speaking is not thinking, kooking is not helping, and laying on your brain ass is all of the above. All right, kids, adios. Sorry for the length of this.